Their Majesties the Kings and their Royal Highnesses, the Princess of Asturias and Infanta Doña Sofía.
Se declara abierto el acto de entrega de los premios Princesa de Asturias 2025.
Con la venia de sus majestades, hacen su entrada
All of their Majesties, the Honourable Ladies and Gentlemen Laureates of the 2025 Princess of Asturias Awards make their entrance.
Premio Princesa de
Princess of
Asturias de la
Asturias Award for
Concordia.
Concord.
Museo
National
Nacional
Museum
de
of
Antropología de
Anthropology
México.
of Mexico. Represented
por su
by
director,
its director,
Antonio
Antonio
Saborit
Saborit García Peña,
y la
and
presidenta de su
the President
patronato,
of its Board of Trustees,
Madeleine
Bremont
Santa Cruz.
Santa Cruz.
Premio
Princess of Asturias
de
Award for
Comunicación y
Technical and
Humanidades,
Scientific Research.
Pyeongchang de Alemania y Corea del Sur.
Brong-Chol-Han from Germany and South Korea. Princess of Asturias Award for Communication and Humanities. Princess of Asturias Award for Literature. Eduardo Mendoza from Spain. Princess of Asturias Award for the Arts. Graciela Iturbide from Mexico. Princess of Asturias Award for Sports. Serena Williams from the United States. Princess of Asturias Award for Social Sciences. Douglas Massey from the United States. Princess of Asturias Award for International Cooperation. Mario Draghi of Italy. Princesa of Asturias Award for Scientific Research and Technical Research. Mary Kay Kling from the United States. Dr. King, who traveled to Asturias to receive her award with great excitement, will not be able to join us at this ceremony as she would have liked to have. We wish her a speedy recovery.
Tiene la palabra doña Ana Isabel Fernández.
Now I give the floor to Ana Isabel Fernández, President of the Princesa of Asturias Foundation.
Majestades,
Your Majesties, Your Highness, Excellencies, dear laureates, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank the King and Queen, the Princess, the Infanta, and Queen Sofia for their presence here today in Oviedo and their commitment to the awards and the foundation. I would also like to acknowledge the support of our trustees and patrons, whose generosity enables us to accomplish our goals year after year, and the work of the jury, comprising more than 120 specialists in various fields, to whom we are constantly adding new profiles. I appreciate their ever-difficult work in identifying excellence in knowledge, research, cultural and social movements. We continue to work at the Foundation with the desire to bolster our work, to highlight the lives and careers of public figures and institutions that embody the values to which we are firmly committed. Consequently, our initiatives are devoted to spreading their example throughout society, ensuring that it takes root among us and continues to help us each and every day in our shared existence and development. For more than 4 decades now, the Foundation has, year after year, furthered this vision of the future, of our common well-being and progress, with gratitude at all times. We accordingly undertake our projects to feel closer to those values. As the Princess of Asturias put it last year on this very stage, I like to think that thanks to the work that we recognize here today, the extraordinary individuals sitting here on the stage of the Campoamor Theatre offer the contrary emotion to skepticism or despair, the emotion of hope. This is the hope conveyed to us by our laureates, men and women who combine effort, dedication and excellence throughout their lives. During the awards week leading up to this moving ceremony, we enthusiastically work with that very same hope, organizing a series of activities, more than 80 this year, in which we see more and more people becoming involved and participating, more people from our surroundings. And in this way, we seek to make the laureates better known to the public at large, strengthening and maintaining our relationship with society over time. Similarly, since its launch in 2015, the Taking the Floor educational program has engaged nearly 56,000 pupils from schools in the Principality. This program allows us to further our goal of helping children and young people delve deeper into the lives and work of the laureates, and in doing so find role models and examples that will serve them in their education and future, always with the aim of contributing to the efforts and committed work of future generations. We likewise identify with and are proud of the example of responsibility and profound sense sense of duty shown by the Princess of Asturias and Infanta Sofia in their various obligations during the new phases of their education. Tomorrow, we will present a cherished initiative of our foundation, the Exemplary Town of Asturias Award, which celebrates local unity and neighborly coexistence. This year, we shall visit Valdesoto in the borough of Siero, where I am sure we will once again spend the day in joy and appreciative recognition. This is an excellent way to achieve our goal of consolidating our relationship with the rural world. I wholeheartedly congratulate the laureates and thank them for being here with us today in this city that turns out en masse to embrace them, in this Asturias that each year vibrates with the emotion of gratitude towards those who work to build a better world for all. Thank you very much.
I now give the floor to Mr. Eduardo Mendoza,
Premio Princesa de Asturias.
Princess of Asturias Award for the Letters.
Majestades,
Your Majesties,
Princesa,
Your Highnesses,
autoridades,
Excellencies,
miembros del
members
jurado,
of the jury,
familiares,
family,
amigos,
friends,
señoras y
ladies and
señores.
gentlemen.
Este premio ha sido
This
para
award
mí una sorpresa
has not only been a surprise, an honor, a joy,
y también un incentivo,
but also an incentive
porque yo,
for
si
me,
no me miro al espejo,
because if
todavía
I
me considero
avoid
una
looking in the
joven
mirror,
promesa de
I
la
still
narrativa
consider
española.
myself a promising young Spanish writer.
Lo último que se pierde en la vida no es la esperanza,
The last
sino
thing
la vanidad.
one loses is not hope, but vanity.
Pero sé que no me han premiado a mí,
However,
que no merezco gran
I know
cosa.
that this award, which I do not actually deserve, has not been granted to me, but rather to my work. And a body of work is the result of many
Yo tuve la
factors.
suerte de nacer y
I was
criarme
fortunate
rodeado de
to
libros
have been born
y
and
de
raised surrounded by
personas
books and
que me
people
leyeron en voz
who
alta,
read aloud to me,
pusieron a mi disposición una amplia
provided
biblioteca,
me with a
me
vast library,
estimularon y me orientaron.
and encouraged and guided me.
En el colegio recibí
At
una
school,
educación estricta,
I received a strict,
tediosa,
dreary, and
y opresiva.
oppressive education.
Tenazmente me inculcaron las
They
virtudes
tenaciously
del trabajo,
instilled in me
el ahorro
the
y
virtues
el
of hard
decoro,
work, thrift, and
gracias a lo
decorum,
cual salí vago,
thanks to which
malgastador y
I
un
turned
poco
out to be
gordo.
lazy, a spendthrift, and a bit of a
Tres cosas
rascal.
malas en sí, pero buenas
These
para
things that
escribir
are
novelas.
bad in and of themselves, but good for
Crecí en
writing novels.
Barcelona, una ciudad
I grew
de
up
tamaño
in
medio,
Barcelona, a
cálida y
medium-sized
soleada,
city, warm
tranquila,
and sunny,
laboriosa y
quiet,
conservadora,
industrious,
cuna
and
de santos
conservative,
infantiles y
the
abuelos
birthplace of
entrañables.
divine children and
También
endearing
una ciudad
grandparents.
portuaria, viciosa y
It is
canalla.
also a port city, one
Yendo
of
de la una
vice
a la
and
otra y
riffraff.
buceando en
Shifting back and
bibliotecas
forth
y
between these two
bibliotecas,
cities and delving into
descubrí que
libraries
Barcelona
and
tenía
newspaper
además
archives, I
un
discovered
interesante
that
pasado
Barcelona also had an
turbulento y
interesting
criminal
past,
del que
both
me
turbulent
apropié
and
para
criminal,
escribir mis novelas.
which I made use of to write my
Ciudades
novels.
como las novelas
Cities, like
son de
novels,
todos,
belong
no
to
son de
everyone and to no one.
El resto lo debo
The rest I
a los
owe
amigos,
to my
a
friends,
los maestros,
my
a
teachers,
las personas que me han querido y
the
me
people who
quieren,
love me,
algunas aquí
some of whom
presentes, mi
are
mujer,
actually
mis
here
hijos,
today, my
mi
wife,
familia,
my children, my
a mis
family,
editores, a mis agentes,
my editors, my
a tantas
agents,
y tantas personas
so
que
many
para
people
nombrarlas no
that I
necesitaría 3 o 4 minutos,
would need
sino 3
not
o
only
4
3 or 4
horas.
minutes, but 3 or 4 hours.
Lo demás es mérito mío, que ya está bien de modestia.
Whatever remains is my own merit. Why be
Alguien me ha
modest?
llamado proveedor de
Someone
felicidad.
once
Es
called
el
me a
mejor
provider of
elogio
happiness.
que
It's
he
the best
recibido en mi
compliment
vida.
that I have ever
Y me
received.
gustaría que fuera
And
cierto,
I
aunque
wish
sea en
it were true,
dosis homeopática.
even if only
Pero
in
si alguna
homeopathic
felicidad he
doses.
dado a mis lectores,
But if I
ellos
have
me han
made
devuelto
my
con
readers
creces,
happy in any way
con su
whatsoever,
lealtad,
they have more
su
than paid me
complicidad,
back with their
su
loyalty,
cariño.
complicity, and affection.
No soy optimista ni pesimista,
I am neither an
no sirvo
optimist
para
nor a
prever el
pessimist
futuro,
because I'm no good at
pero no me
predicting the
gusta el
future.
mundo tal como lo veo
But I
hoy en
don't
día.
like the world as I see it.
Quizá porque he tenido la suerte
Perhaps because
de
I've
vivir
been
una
fortunate
larga
enough
etapa
to live through a
excepcional
long,
de
exceptional
relativa
period
paz,
of relative
estabilidad y
peace,
bienestar.
stability, and well-being.
A mi edad, una
At my
preferiría
age,
disfrutar de lo que
I'd
hay
rather
y
enjoy
andar
what there
quejándose de
is
lo que
than
falta.
complain about what is
Pero me
missing,
temo que no podrá ser.
but I'm afraid that
Por lo
won't be
demás,
possible.
los años me han hecho valorar
Besides
sobre
that,
todas las
the
cosas
years have made me
el
value
respeto.
respect above
Y
all
si algo me
things.
han enseñado es que todo es relativo.
And if they've taught me anything,
O quizá
it's
no.
that everything is relative. Or maybe
Y se me
not.
acaba con esto el tiempo.
I'm running out of
Hace
time.
ahora un año justo,
Precisely
en este
a
mismo
year
lugar,
ago, on
mi
this
amigo
very
Joan Manuel
stage,
Serrat
my friend Joan Manuel
acabó su
Serrat
intervención
ended his
cantando una
speech
hermosa canción.
with a beautiful song.
Como seguramente ustedes preferirán
As
que
you
yo
would
no lo
surely
haga,
prefer me not to do the
solo me
same,
queda expresar
I
una
can
vez
only
más,
express once
sinceramente
again
conmovido, mi
my
gratitud.
most heartfelt gratitude. Thank you.
Tiene la palabra el profesor
I now give the floor to Byung-Chul Han,
Premio Princesa de Asturias. de
Princess of Asturias
Comunicación
Award
y
for Communication
Humanidades.
and the Humanities.
Majestät, Königliche Hoheit, Exzellenzen, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren. Es ist für mich eine große
Your
Ehre
Majesty,
und
Your Royal Highnesses, most honorable authorities, distinguished laureates, ladies and gentlemen, it is both a great honor and a great pleasure for me to receive such a high distinction in this traditional city of Oviedo. In Plato's famous dialogue Apology, when Socrates defends himself after being sentenced to death, he explains what the mission of the philosopher is. The role of the philosopher would be to stir up the Athenians and awake them, to criticize, irritate, and recriminate them. Just a horsefly stinks and goads a noble horse, whose very bulk makes it sluggish and thus spurs and rouses it. I am a philosopher. As such, I have internalized this Socratic definition of philosophy. My socially critical writings have also caused irritation, sowing nervousness and insecurity, but at the same time, they have aroused many people. With my essay, Burnout Society, I tried to do justice to the philosopher's role, admonishing society and arousing its awareness to awaken it. The thesis I was proposing, namely that the unlimited individual freedom that neoliberalism proposes to us is nothing more than an illusion, and this is indeed irritating. Although today we believe we are actually freer than ever, we live in a despotic neoliberal regime that exploits freedom. We no longer live in a disciplinary society where everything is related by prohibitions and mandates, but in a performance society which is supposedly free and where what presumably counts are abilities. However, the sense of freedom generated by these unlimited capabilities is only temporary and soon turns into oppression, which is in fact more coercive than the imperative of duty. You imagine yourself to be free, but in fact you voluntarily and enthusiastically exploit yourself until you break down. That breakdown is called burnout. We are like that slave who snatches the whip from his master and whips himself, believing that this frees him. That is simply an illusion of freedom. Self-exploitation is much more effective than exploitation by others, because it creates that deceptive sense of freedom. I have also pointed out the risks of digitalization on several occasions. It is not that I am against smartphones or digitalization, neither am I a cultural pessimist. The smartphone can be a very useful tool. There would be no problem if we used it as a tool. What happens is that we have actually become tools of the smartphone themselves. It is the smartphone that uses us, not the other way around. It is not the smartphone that it is our product, but we ourselves are its products. Sometimes it happens that human beings are becoming slaves of their own creations. Social media could also have been a medium for spreading love and friendship. But what prevails there is hate, fake news, and belligerence. They do not socialize us, but rather isolate us. They make us aggressive, and they rob us of empathy. Neither am I against artificial intelligence. It can be very useful if it's used for good, humane purposes. But the risk likewise exists with AI that human beings may end up becoming slaves to their own creation. AI can be used to steer, control, and manipulate people. Therefore, the pressing task of politics would be to control and to regulate technological development in a sovereign manner, rather than simply keeping up with it. Technology without political control, technique without ethics can take on a monstrous form and enslave people. Lately, I have been thinking a great deal about the growing loss of respect in our society. Nowadays, as soon as someone has a different opinion to ours, we declare them to be an enemy. A discourse on which democracy is based is no longer possible. Alexis de Tocqueville, author of a famous book on American democracy, already knew that democracy requires more than mere formal procedures, more than procedures such as elections and institutions. Democracy is based on what is known as mœurs in French. That is the morals and virtues of citizens, such as civic-mindedness, responsibility, trust, friendship, and respect. There is no social bond stronger than respect. Without mœurs, democracy is emptied of content and reduced to a mere apparatus. Even elections degenerate into an empty ritual when these virtues are lacking. Politics is then reduced to power struggles. And parliaments provide the stage for politicians to promote themselves. And neoliberalism has already created a large number of losers. The social gap between rich and poor continues to widen. The fear of social decline is already affecting the middle classes. It is precisely these fears that drive people into the arms of autocrats and populists. We believe that the society we live in today, is freer than ever. In every sphere of life, limitless options can be found, also in the sphere of love, thanks to dating apps. Everything is available instantly. The world resembles a gigantic warehouse where everything becomes consumable. Infinite scrolling promises unlimited information. Social media make borderless communication possible. Thanks to digitalization, we are interconnected. But we lack genuine relationships and bonds. The social sphere is eroding. We lose all empathy, all attention for the other. A frenzy of authenticity and creativity make us believe that we enjoy ever-increasing individual freedom. Yet, at the same time, we vaguely feel that we are not actually free, but that rather we stagger from one addiction to another, from one dependency to another. We are haunted by a feeling of emptiness. Emptiness is the legacy of liberalism. We no longer have values or ideals with which to fill this vacuum. Something is not right in our society. My writings constitute a sometimes very forceful reproach of contemporary society. My cultural criticism has irritated quite a few people, like that Socratic horsefly that stung and spurred the sluggish horse. But if there's no irritation, what happens is that the same thing occurs over and over again, and that makes the future impossible. Although it is true that I have irritated people, I have fortunately not been sentenced to death. But today I have been honored here with this splendid award. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
Con la venia.
May it please the tribunal, majesties, highnesses, authorities, ladies and gentlemen. In May and June, the juries responsible for awarding the 2025 Princesa of Asturias Awards met in Oviedo. After the study and deliberation of 312 candidatures from 55 nationalities, supported by more than 19,500 people and institutions from all over the world, they have awarded the following prizes. Princesa of Asturias Award for Concord, conceived as a space for reflection on the indigenous legacy of Mexico, which expresses the hallmarks of a great nation and heir to a long tradition in the defense and preservation of an essential part of the anthropological heritage of humanity. The jury has awarded the award to the National Museum of Anthropology of Mexico. The prize is collected by the director of the museum, Antonio Saborit García Peña, and the president of its Board of Trustees, Madeleine Bremont Santa Cruz. Princesa of Asturias Award for Communication and Humanities, because of his brilliance in interpreting the challenges of the technological society, because his analysis is extremely fertile and provides explanations on issues such as dehumanization, digitalization, and the isolation of people, and because his intercultural perspective sheds light on complex phenomena in the contemporary world. The jury has awarded the prize to Byung-Chul Han. Princesa of Asturias Award for Literature. For his decisive contribution to literature in Spanish of the last half-century, with novels that combine the desire for innovation with the ability to reach a very wide audience and which enjoy great international recognition, and because his clear prose encompasses popular language and the most unexpected cultisms, with a sense of humor and a carefree and humanistic vision of existence. The jury has awarded the award to Eduardo Mendoza. Princesa of Asturias Award for Arts, for his innovative gaze endowed with extraordinary artistic depth, with which he has portrayed human nature through photographs loaded with symbolism that create a world of his own, because it combines in black and white the documentary with a poetic sense of the image, showing not only what it sees, but also what it feels, with an emotional and cultural charge that invites us to look beyond the visible. The jury has awarded the award to Graciela Iturbide. Princesa of Asturias Award for Sports, considered one of the best tennis players in history, with an unquestionable sporting record in which 73 individual titles stand out, including 23 Grand Slams and 4 Olympic golds. And because in addition to her extraordinary sports career, she has always been a firm defender of gender equality and opportunities between men and women in sport and in society. The jury has awarded the award to Serena Williams. Princesa of Asturias Award for Social Sciences, because starting from the conception of the human being as a type of migratory species, he has made fundamental contributions to the understanding of international migrations and their consequences, and because he has built a theoretical model with academic rigor, which allows us to interpret contemporary societies with a calm, rational and empathetic gaze. The jury has awarded the award to Douglas Massey. Princess of Asturias Award for International Cooperation, for being a key figure in the defense of European integration, recognized for his leadership and firm commitment to the fundamental values and progress of the Union, because throughout its history of more than 4 decades, it has promoted multilateralism, cooperation between member states, and the institutional and economic strengthening of the European Union, and for his role on the global stage. The jury has awarded the award to Mario Draghi.
I now give the floor to Ms. Graciela Iturbide, Princess of Asturias Award for the Arts.
Majestades, Altezas
Your
Reales,
Majesties,
distinguidos miembros de
Royal
la
Highnesses,
Fundación Princesa de
distinguished
Asturias,
members of the Princess of
estimados
Asturias
miembros del
Foundation,
jurado,
esteemed jury
queridos
members,
galardonados,
dear laureates,
señoras y
ladies
señores,
and gentlemen,
amigos.
friends.
He pasado más de
I
medio
have
siglo de
spent
mi
more than
vida
half a century of
mirando
my
el
life
mundo por
looking
una
at the world
ventanilla
through
que
a
apenas
tiny
mide
window
unos
that barely
escasos
measures a
centímetros
few square
cuadrados.
centimeters.
No
Does
resulta
it
paradójico
seem paradoxical
otorgarse
to grant
el
me
prestigioso
the
premio
prestigious
Princesa
Princess
de
of
Asturias
Asturias
de las
Award for
Artes
the Arts
por una
for such
hazaña
a
tan
limited
circunstancial?
achievement?
Lo
I
agradezco y
appreciate
siento muy
the
honrada.
recognition, and I feel
pero
truly
mis-
honored.
Mis méritos,
But my
perdón,
merits, I
pero mis
apologize,
méritos
but my
se
merits
rebasan
do
estos
not
cuantos
go
centímetros
beyond those
de
few
quimera, centímetros de
centimeters
quimera.
of illusion.
Porque no cabe
Because there
duda,
can be no
la
doubt,
fotografía no es la verdad,
photography is not
sino la
the truth,
interpretación
but
de una
rather the
realidad
interpretation of
que
a
el
reality
artista
that
aprende
the
en
artist
función de sus
grasps based
conocimientos,
on their knowledge,
sus emociones,
emotions,
sus sueños y
dreams,
su
and
intuición.
intuition.
Ya lo decía el
As
lucido Brassai,
Versailles so lucidly put
vida
it,
no puede
life
ser
cannot
captada
be
ni por el
captured by
realismo,
realism
ni por el
or by
materialismo,
naturalism,
sino solamente
or
por el
only by
sueño,
dreams,
el símbolo o
symbols,
la
or
imaginación.
imagination.
Todo lo que
Everything
todo lo que
I
fotografié
have
a lo largo de mi
photographed
vida
throughout my life
me ha llenado el
has
espíritu
pervaded my
y me ha
spirit
empujado a
and
repetir el
driven me to
proceso
repeat the
una
process
y otra
over
vez.
and over
La
again.
fotografía para mí
Photography,
crea un
for me,
sentimiento
creates
de
a sense of
comprensión hacia lo
understanding
que veo,
of what I
lo que
see,
vivo y lo que
experience,
siento.
and feel.
Y es un buen pretexto para
What's
conocer
more,
el
it's a
mundo
good
y
way
su
to learn
cultura.
about the world and its
Si al ver mis
cultures.
fotos
If people
la
see my
gente dice,
photos and
esto
say,
es México,
that's
yo
Mexico,
contesto,
I reply,
no,
no,
esto es Graciela
that's Graciela
Iturbide. Pero no me
Iturbide.
siento dueña
However,
de
I
mis
do not feel I
imágenes,
own my
ni
images,
temo que los
nor
utilicen y hasta
am I
las
afraid of them
manipulen.
being used or even
Algunas de mis
manipulated.
imágenes
Some of my
ya forman
images
parte
already
del
form part of
imaginario
the collective
mexicano.
imagination of the
Para
Mexican
mí
people.
no
And
es
for
un
me,
logro,
it's
ni un
neither an
riesgo, es
achievement
tan solo
nor
un
a risk.
reflejo de
It is simply
México,
a
de lo
reflection
que
of
veo
Mexico,
en mi
of
país.
what I see in my country.
La parte más
The
conocida de
best
mi
known
obra
part of my work
retrata el
portrays
mundo indígena
Mexico's
de México.
indigenous world.
Le he
I
dedicado
have
mis
dedicated
mejores
my best
años
years to
y
it,
gracias
and
a
thanks
ella
to it,
recorrí
I
buena
have
parte
visited a
de mi
large
país,
part of my
sobre
country,
todo las
especially the
regiones
remote
apartadas
and
y
disadvantaged
desfavorecidas
regions
donde
where
sobreviven
indigenous peoples
y
continue
resisten
to
los
survive
indígenas.
and resist.
Sin embargo,
However,
al igual
like
que
the
la
vast
inmensa
majority
mayoría
of
de los
Mexicans,
mexicanos, soy
I
el
am the
resultado de la
result of the
fusión
fusion
entre
of
dos
two
culturas,
cultures, two worldviews that are almost always at odds. The history of Mexico is that of the syncretism dwelling within me, and I could not sacrifice even one of its facets without maiming myself. In the wake of the Spanish Civil War, artists and intellectuals arrived in Mexico, enriching our cultural life and inspiring us with their talent and knowledge. I cannot fail to recall Oviedo, for example, cannot forget them at a time like this. I do not like people saying that my photography is magical. I am more interested in its containing a dose of poetry. Photography plays with ambiguity. It reveals the fragment of reality that I try to conceal once more in order not to squander the mystery it captures. Even though the viewer may sometimes doubt it, I must make it clear. Sorry, the light is poor. I must make it clear that I have never constructed any image. All of them have been the result of chance or the result of an encounter. I am indebted to my teacher, Manuel Álvarez Bravo, for the most decisive piece of advice for becoming a good photographer. There is no need to rush, he said. There is time. There is time. Photography is the art that deals primarily with time. The art that challenges it, fixes it, and sometimes also kills it. Finally, I would like to make clear that beyond the syncretism that embodies me, above all, I consider myself a citizen of the world. Fortunately, the art of photography knows no borders, has no passport, and requires no visas, even though some powerful men may try to limit free movement between countries and restrict the freedom of thought and creation. Thank you very much.
I now give the floor to Mr. Mario Draghi, Princess of Asturias Award for International Cooperation.
Your Majesties, Your Royal Highness, Your Excellencies, distinguished laureates, ladies and gentlemen, it is an incredible honor to receive this award. I accept it not only with gratitude, but with a deep sense of responsibility toward a project that has defined my professional life. My public service in Italy started with the negotiations for the Maastricht Treaty. Since then, building Europe has been a central mission of my career, both as a national policymaker, as head of the Italian Treasury, and then as a Prime Minister and as a European one at the helm of the European Central Bank. But today, the outlook for Europe is as difficult as I can remember. Almost every principle on which the Union was founded is under strain. We built our prosperity on openness and multilateralism, yet now face protectionism and unilateral action. We believed diplomacy could be the bedrock of our security, yet now see a return of hard military power. We pledged leadership in climate responsibility, yet now watch others retreat while we shoulder growing costs. The world around us has fundamentally changed, and Europe struggles to respond. This raises a critical question. Why can't we change? We are often told that Europe is forged in a crisis. But how acute must the crisis become for our leaders to put their minds together and find the political will to act? After the great financial crisis and the sovereign debt crisis, the European Central Bank, also thanks to its European mandate, had evolved into a more federal institution. And the banking union was launched. But since then, our challenges have grown more and more complex, and they now demand common action by member states. They concern areas such as defense, energy security, and frontier technologies that require continental scale and shared investment. And in some of these fields, especially defense and foreign policy, a deeper degree of democratic legitimacy is needed. Since many years, we've not changed our governance. Today, we are a European confederation that simply cannot cope with such demands. It leaves responsibilities at the national level that can no longer be delivered effectively there. And even if we wish to transfer more powers to Europe, this model doesn't offer us the democratic legitimacy to do so. And this is not only because of the legal constraint of the European Union treaties. The deeper constraint is that facing this new world, we have not built a shared mandate endorsed by citizens for what we as Europeans truly intend to do together. Beyond declarations and out of necessity, the future of Europe must be a journey towards federalism. But however desirable a true federation would be, it will require political conditions that do not exist today. And the challenges we face are too urgent to wait for them to emerge. A new pragmatic federalism is therefore the only viable path forward. This is a federalism that is issue-based, flexible, and able to act outside the slowest mechanisms of the EU decision-making. It would be built by coalitions of the willing around shared strategic interests, recognizing that Europe's diverse strengths do not require every country to move at the same pace. Imagine countries with strong technological sectors agreeing on a common regime that enables their firms to expand rapidly. Nations with advanced defense industries pooling R&D, research and development, and funding joint procurement. Industrial leaders co-investing in critical sectors such as semiconductors or in grid infrastructure that lowers energy costs. The pragmatic federalism would allow those with higher ambitions to act with the speed, scale, and intensity of other global powers. And just as importantly, it could help renew the democratic momentum of Europe itself. Because opting in would require national governments to secure democratic support for specific shared goals. It would become a bottom-up construction of common purpose, not a top-down imposition. All those who want to join could do so, while those who seek to block progress would no longer be able to hold others back. In short, it offers a confident vision of Europe and one that citizens can believe in. A Europe where young people see their future. A Europe that refuses to be trampled on. A Europe that acts not out of fear of decline, but out of pride in what it can still achieve. We must offer this vision if Europe is to renew itself. And I'm confident that we can. Thank you.
Tiene la palabra Su Alteza
I now
Real,
give the
la
floor
Princesa
to
de
Her Royal Highness the Princess of Asturias.
Majestades,
Your
autoridades,
Majesties,
patronos, señoras y
Excellencies,
señores.
trustees and
Saludo en
friends,
especial a
ladies
los
and
premiados de
gentlemen.
este año.
I especially greet
Sed
this year's
bienvenidos a esta
laureates.
ciudad, a este
Welcome to
principado,
this city, to
que
this
ya lo habéis
principality,
visto,
which,
os
as you
acoge
have
con
seen,
todo cariño.
welcomes you with great affection.
Permitidme que
Allow
en
me, in this
tiempos de
age of
inmediatez,
immediacy,
de fugacidad,
fleetingness,
de virtualidades,
virtual
de
realities and bits,
escriba
to write
una
a
carta a cada
letter to
premiado.
each laureate.
Os invito
I
a
invite
que
you to
asistáis
attend
a
this
este envío
Viva
postal de viva
Voce
voz,
mailing.
a esta
This
comunicación
communication
que evoca el papel y
reminiscent
el
of pen and
bolígrafo
paper
entre los
between the
premiados y yo.
laureates and me.
Y lo
And
hago
I do
porque,
so
aun
because
siendo
even
de la
though I belong to
generación Z
Gen
e
Z
hija
and
de
am the
una de la
daughter
X
of
y
a
de un
Gen
boomer,
X and a
tengo la
boomer,
sensación
I have the feeling
de que
that
una
a
carta
letter
permite
allows
pararse,
one to
profundizar
stop,
y pensar
delve
más.
deeper, and think
como
more.
vivimos
And
en la
since we
economía
live
de la
in an
atención, a
attention
ver si soy capaz
economy,
de
let's see if I
retener
can
hoy yo
retain
la vuestra.
yours right
Allá voy.
now. Here we go.
Querido profesor
Dear
Draghi,
Professor
en
Draghi,
2012 como
in
presidente del Banco
2012, as
Central
President
Europeo,
of the European
dijo
Central
usted,
Bank, you
"Haremos
said,
todo lo que
we
sea
will do
necesario,
whatever it
y
takes,
créanme,
and
será
believe me,
suficiente".
it will be enough.
Una frase
A
que no
phrase
solo
that
calmó
not
los
only
mercados,
calmed the
sino que fue
markets,
un acto
but
de
was also an
confianza
act of
en el proyecto
confidence in the
europeo
European
en uno de sus
project
momentos
at one
más
of its most fragile moments.
Esas palabras encerraban
Those
un
words
mensaje
contained
más
a
profundo
deeper
que el de
message
la
than that
estabilidad
of financial
financiera.
stability,
La defensa de
the
los valores
defense of
europeos,
European values,
de la
of
solidaridad entre
solidarity
países
between
y de la
countries,
idea,
and of the
no por
idea,
repetida,
no
menos
less
valiosa,
valuable for
de
being
que
repeated,
juntos
that
somos
together
más fuertes.
we are stronger.
Y le cito una vez
And I
más,
quote
la
you
Unión
once
Europea
again,
es,
the European
ante todo,
Union is,
un
above all,
mecanismo
a
para alcanzar los
mechanism for
objetivos
achieving the
compartidos
shared
por sus
objectives of its
ciudadanos,
citizens,
casi
almost
450
450
millones de
million people.
Es nuestra
It is
mejor
our
oportunidad
best
para un
chance for a
futuro
future
de paz,
of peace,
seguridad e
security, independence and solidarity.
desafíos son hoy aún
The
mayores,
challenges are
profesor,
even
lo sabe
greater
usted
today,
bien.
Professor, as you well know.
Querida Serena,
Dear Serena,
nadie podría
no one
entender
could
hoy el tenis
understand
sin ti.
tennis today without
Lo
you. You
transformaste en un
transformed
deporte
it
más
into a
rápido y
faster,
explosivo,
more
en una forma de
explosive
vivir en
sport,
la
into
que
a way of
tuviste que
life in
desafiar
which you had
muchas
to
convenciones.
challenge many conventions.
Impresiona
The
la
strength
fuerza
with
con
which
la
you
que
have
siempre has
always
jugado,
played,
tu
your
técnica
impeccable
impecable,
technique,
esos casi
and those
30
nearly
años como
30 years
profesional
as a
al máximo
professional
nivel.
at the highest
Nos
level
has
are
demostrado que la
impressive.
grandeza
You have
no
shown
está
us
en
that
ganar
greatness is
siempre,
not always
sino en la
about winning,
capacidad de
but about the
levantarse,
ability to
aprender
get
y
back
seguir
on your
adelante.
feet, learn
Y
and
ahora como
move forward.
empresaria,
And now,
sigues
as a
demostrando que tu
businesswoman,
espíritu
you continue to
competitivo
demonstrate
también
that your
se refleja en
competitive
la vida.
spirit is also reflected
Es
in life.
bonito lo que dices
It
de
is
tu
so
hermana.
nice what
Sin
you say
Venus
about your
no habría
sister.
habido
Without
Serena.
Venus, there would have been no
Las
Serena.
hermanas
The sisters
cómplices
in
son nuestras
cahoots
grandes
are our
aliadas y
great
compañeras de
traveling
viaje.
companions.
Queri- Querida profesora King,
Dear
sentimos que
Professor
no puede
King, we are
acompañarnos
sorry
esta tarde.
that you are not accompanying
Su
us this
trabajo ha logrado la
afternoon. Your work has led to
identificación
the
de una región
identification of a
cromosómica
human
humana que
chromosomal
alberga un
region
gen
harboring a
cuyas
gene
mutaciones
whose
predisponen
mutations
al cáncer de
predispose to
mama y de
breast and
ovario.
ovarian cancer.
Trabajos posteriores de otros
Subsequent
grupos,
work by other
incluyendo el
groups,
suyo,
including your own,
condujeron
have
al
led to the
descubrimiento y
discovery and
validación del
validation
primero
of
de
the
estos
first of
genes
these
de
tumor
susceptibilidad a
susceptibility
este tipo de
genes that are
tumores
of
de
such
tanta importancia
scientific,
científica,
medical, and
médica y
emotional
emocional.
importance.
Pero su
Yet
compromiso
your
social
social
ha ido
commitment has gone even further, contributing your knowledge of genetics to reunite the grandchildren of those who were disappeared during the Argentine dictatorship's repression. I can imagine how relieved so many grandparents must have felt. Dear Madeleine and Antonio, representatives of the National Museum of Anthropology of Mexico, we recognize here today the importance of your institution, which cares for, exhibits, preserves, and disseminates Mexico's pre-Hispanic heritage and indigenous culture. We have just celebrated the museum's 60th anniversary, although its origins date back 200 years, and you vigorously project the strength of a people who look upon themselves with pride and who show the world their generosity in sharing their great history in an exercise of concord. Someday, I hope to be lucky enough to enter into Chapultepec Forest and admire more than 3,000 years of history, and to see the sunstone and so many examples of Olmec, Zapotec, Mayan, Mixtec life. Today, Mexico is most present here in the Campoamor Theatre. In fact, dear Graciela, I cannot stop looking at your photo of that Zapotec indigenous woman with the iguanas on her head, and I imagine you in 1979 waiting patiently in the Yuchitan market for that woman and her iguanas to take on the form and expression that you wanted to capture forever with your camera. I just said waiting and patiently, by the way. These are not commonplace words these days, and that is why you are not in a hurry as a photographer. In addition to your vocation as a writer, film scholar, and avid reader, you are an artist who has captured the strength of women, that of Zapotec women in their iguanas, and also that of the Seri woman in Sonora, the angel woman who links the present and future in that desert. I hope my fellow Zoomers will take the time to gaze at your photographs. Dear Professor Massey, today we recognize your analysis of such a relevant reality today as are human migrations. The complexity of this phenomenon well overwhelms us. You state that immigration comes with costs and benefits, and the problem is that the costs are disproportionately borne in the present and at the local level, whilst the benefits accrue in the future and at the national level. You have defended this notion ad nauseum with data, placing yourself in the center of the political debate with attacks from different ideological quarters, always through academic rigor, and you have contributed to rehumanizing the way people look at those who leave their country. Your work allows us to fully understand the enormous challenge many governments face today with respect to immigration. You have broken down simplistic narratives and formulated migration policies based on data, not misinformation. Dear Eduardo, well, you have provided me not only with happiness but also with curiosity for words of those of my generation do not know. Examples include maid, nincompoop, namby, pamby, sharecropper, scruff. I can't imagine how the interpreters are dealing with these words currently. After 5 decades of writing, you have shown that there are debates, like the one so prevalent about popular and cultured literature, which you dismantle through the reading of The City of Marvels or The Truth About the Savolta Case or any of your books. You call yourself a wordsmith, and you say it with the subtle, sarcastic humor of someone born and bred in Barcelona, garnished with a Serpentine veneer, a touch of British, and a touch of New Yorker, and from now on also, I hope, a touch of Asturian. Your work is necessary in order to know more, understand more, stop scrolling ad infinitum, you know, the endless dragging of your finger up and down the phone screen that we young people and not so young people are victims of. And that will allow the in-depth reading of your books will enable us to inferences and deductions, and this will lead us to the analysis and discernment of reality. That is, to a better understanding of everything around us. And doesn't that mean being freer? Dear Professor Hahn, allow me to transgress your principles and refer to that emoji we have on our mobile phones where the little guy's brain explodes. And now I ask you, If we live in a digital flock, if we have sold our soul to a device, if we are slaves to the screen, if we exploit ourselves to meet the demands of performance and productivity and we neglect reflection due to stimulus overload, if what is transcendent escapes us, if what we believe is freedom is only control, how do we, especially young people, recover transcendence so that life is not, as you state, the mere satisfaction of needs and the narcissistic exhibition on social networks or social media of an optimism that we confuse with true hope amidst the noise of data and information, and hence so far from true knowledge? You will understand that we are left with the emoji I referred to at the beginning of this letter. Let us seek the answer in your thought. Accelerated time is not habitable, which is why you invite us to practice patience and introspection, among other things, and above all, in-depth reading. Having concluded my analog tribute in the form of a letter to our laureates, and being aware of the complexity that surrounds us and how these women and men have navigated it with their work and their lives, you will agree that it is important to equip ourselves with good tools to confront that complexity. So it would not hurt to stir up some enthusiasm. Perhaps we should go back to the basics. To respect for those who think differently, for those who are different, to education, to valuing our teachers and considering our compulsory school time as a crucial stage in which everyone, government as well as civil society, must become engaged so that every free citizen may have opportunities. To not forgetting to take care via responsible, gaugeable actions of those who do not have it easy, the most vulnerable, the young people who struggle to get an education, to find a job, to have a home, the elderly who do not want to be alone, our children at risk of poverty. Perhaps we need to remember what it means to treat others well, to get out of the hole we have dug, to shake off fear, to come together to do things in a better way, to consider the fact that if we do not look at others, we will not know how to build trust. Coexistence is not easy, but it is the only way to achieve shared progress. It makes sense to protect and defend the values which define and guide us as Spaniards and Europeans, in fact, as citizens of any place. Trusting in these values means trusting in freedom over fear, in justice over arbitrariness, in democracy over intolerance, in the rule of law over the abuse of power, and in human rights over indifference. I realize that sometimes words spoken at a lectern can sound hollow, but I also know that it does not hurt to review and recall not only the nature of the difficulties, but also the solutions, and to insist that there are no magic formulae for managing this complexity. Today, the laureates are helping precisely to fuel this enthusiasm. Thank you very much.
Majestades, Altezas,
Your Majesties, Your Highnesses,
Presidenta del Congreso de los Diputados,
Speakers of both houses of the Spanish Parliament, President of the Supreme Court and of the General Council of the Judiciary, President of the Regional Government of the Principality of Asturias, Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food, Delegate of the Central Government in Asturias, Major of Oviedo, President of the Princesa of Asturias Foundation, Director, Excellencies, Trustees, members of the jury, dear laureates, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking from this stage is, in addition to being an honor, a tremendous privilege. Believe me, I have been doing it so far for 44 years. The last 7 alongside my daughter, Princess Leonor, who has gradually taken on this role, giving new signs of her maturity and sensitivity with each step, and also taking a more active role in public life. Consequently, I believe it is my responsibility to cede the floor to her as heir to the crown and as honorary president of the foundation for the past 11 years. Naturally, I say this with emotion, as a father and as a king. And of course, with the firm intention of maintaining the bond to the awards, to the foundation, and to Asturias, a beloved land from which I cannot imagine being distanced, much less so the Queen. The affection we receive is so great, the memories and experiences so numerous, that I find it difficult to reciprocate correspondingly. However, you know at the foundation, and thus Leonor, that present or not, I will always be committed to its goals, values, and future. If speaking with the laureates is ever a privilege, speaking about them is an indispensable civic duty, as we furnish them with a symbol with which we join together to exalt them, to thank them for the contribution to humanity, and to learn from them. For the reason that a mature society must know how to identify excellence and recognize merit, not as an end in itself, but because they serve as an example, a light on the path that each of us must follow. There is a path forward in the lucid, complex and provocative thinking of Byung-Chul Han, in the sociological and demographic analysis of migration by Douglas Massey, in the work and studies of geneticist Mary Claire King, in the elegant irony and narrative pearls of Eduardo Mendoza, in the grit and competitive spirit of Serena Williams, in the stark truth of Graciela Iturbide's landscapes and portraits, in Mario Draghi's dedication to progress and consensus, especially in Europe, and in the exceptional outreach and research work of Mexico's National Museum of Anthropology. These paths which we praise today at this ceremony are revealed even more clearly in the meetings that they have held throughout this week with the public here in Oviedo and elsewhere, in the curiosity and interests of the young people who attend these events, in their questions, in their applause, and above all, in their faces. This direct interaction during the week of the awards is one of the Foundation's major successes. It is teaching and it is learning, but above all, it's dialogue. There is a great deal of Socratic spirit in these meetings. We live in a world that all too often struggles between two extremes, that are equally disturbing. On the one hand, we have the fostering of radical individualism, which, if not somehow restrained, can lead to both indifference and loneliness. It seems paradoxical that societies as interconnected as today's are so full of people who are or feel alone or have trouble communicating. While, on the other hand, there exists a globalizing drive that homogenizes everything, that obscures differences and individualities, that degrades diversity. And it does so in favor of gregarious conduct, often subject to the subtle but persistent dictates of a network, an algorithm, or a screen. Values hover over this often self-serving debate, as does education. Educating in values does not mean denying the reality in which we live, nor does it mean avoiding technological changes that are already part of our lives and which, when managed ethically, can constitute an extraordinary contribution for everyone. It consists in finding that middle road between the community and the individual, between respect for the collective and the value of the individual. Educating in values means enhancing lives in society without abandoning the complex moral universe that resides within each and every one of us, and which is perfected through coexistence. It means opening up the person to a better way of living, with a greater sense of self-realization and greater awareness of being and existing in the world. Education in the mainstay of democratic coexistence. As long as we are able to instill in those who come after us the principles and values for which we have fought, we shall be providing them with the tools to build their own future. This educational facet is also very present in the Princesa of Asturias Awards, in this tribute to a group of exceptional people whose long, fruitful and successful journey deserves to be recognized. Not to follow it, not to imitate it, but to learn how it is done, how to trace out and follow a good path. Let us accept their example as a word of encouragement that illuminates our own journey, as the experience of the finest who, moreover, inspire us to help improving, as far as possible, the society in which we live. Today, we gratefully congratulate them and honor their work. Our thanks to the Foundation, to the Princesa of Asturias Foundation, and its trustees for making this possible. And our heartfelt thanks to the people of Asturias for their affection, for their enthusiasm and warmth each autumn, and for making these awards an essential part of our collective memory. Thank you very much.
Con la venia de sus majestades,
With the permission
hacen
of
su
their
salida
Majesties,
los
the Honourable
excelentísimos
ladies and
señoras y
gentlemen,
señores
laureates of the
galardonados con los premios
2025
Princesa de
Princesa of Asturias
Asturias
Awards are
2025.
making their departure, are leaving the theatre.
Los premios Princesa de Asturias 2025 han
I hereby
finalizado.
declare this
Quedan
act
convocados los premios
adjourned,
Princesa
and
de
the call
Asturias
for the
2026.
2026 awards is announced.